Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm welcoming you to our today's webinar of the organic cotton, trust from farm to product. And I would like to start with myself. I'm Anina. I'm working for the TEX group for the marketing, and I'm more or less here in the background after. And just some information for you before we start. I ask you to keep your microphones muted and your cameras off. And if you have any troubles during the webinar, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly. I'm really happy to assist you. And we are going to record the webinar today, and we'll also be sharing it with you afterwards. Our webinar chat is not available, but we have a Q&A section where you can place in your questions that you're going to have for Luna, who will be introduced in a few seconds. And we are happy to answer all of your questions at the end. We see if we can answer all of them. If not, we're very happy to follow up on them a little bit later. So when we start, I want to tell you a little bit about the TEX group. As you can see, it is with the TEX and OEKO, and we are a group together. So the headquarters of TEX is based in Zurich, and sorry, I need to mute everyone. We have our office as well from OEKO, the headquarters in Vienna, and our speaker today, Luna, is working for for OEKO in Vienna and is our organic cotton expert and auditor. And here you can see this is like the timeline of the TEX group. So TEX was founded in 1846 as a silk conditioning institute and then transformed to a testing institute and merged together with OEKO in 2013. And from OEKO, we also became one of the founding members of OEKO-TEX, and we are having offices all over the globe, and in total more than 45 locations together from TEX and OEKO. And here's just a small sneak peek of our portfolio. So we are offering various types of textile testing in microplastics, circularity, PFAS testing solutions, UV standard, PPE, and also in a little bit above the textiles to wear, it is also specialized in flooring technologies. But yeah, this is enough from my side now. So I'm very happy to hand over to Luna and wish you a good webinar with organic cotton.
So good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Anina, for your introduction. Today, we are going to discuss the OEKO-TEX organic cotton certification process. We are going to go through the requirements, and also we're going to talk about the transaction certificates and the e-transactions. Let us now, let us start with the requirements for the OEKO-TEX organic cotton certifications. The entry point of the supply chain, which is the farm, it shall be certified according to any of the IFOAM accepted certification schemes. The later stages in the supply chain shall be certified according to OEKO-TEX organic cotton certification. Open application, the customer shall submit the application for sure and all the supporting documents. The product shall passes all the tests. What tests do? We do the we do tests against substances that are harmful to health according to OEKO-TEX standard 100, as well the GMO and pesticides tests that will be tested for ginners and spinners. A declaration of conformity shall be also submitted, which declares that the quality for the products being produced, it is equivalent to the quality of the sample being submitted. All the requirements shall be adapted by the company to ensure the product safety. Now we have the biologically active and flame retardant substances, they are forbidden. As well, mixing organic cotton and conventional cottons, this is not allowed. Now, concerning blended articles and articles that they are made of 100% organic cotton, they cannot be certified under the same certificate, which means that if the customer, they have blended articles and 100% organic cotton products, they have to apply for 2 different certifications. Now here we have the different types of certification depending on the percentage of the organic cotton content. We have the 100% organic cotton certificate, and it includes only the 100% organic cotton content. Products, articles, we have the blended certificate. The blended certificate, which contains articles that are made of minimum 70% organic cotton content, and we have for the articles that contains less than 70% organic cotton, those will be covered in the standard 100 certificates. For the three certificates, we need for sure the supplier to be certified according to OEKO-TEX Organic Cotton. The supporting documents shall be submitted, including the transaction certificates for sure. We have the GMO test. We have fiber content analysis, and the pesticides, they will be done in addition to the parameters that we already discussed in the standard 100. Now, how to calculate the percentage of the organic cotton per article? Now, for the 100% organic cotton certificate, for sure, the main article shall be made of 100% organic cotton. Now we have for the textile, for the accessories, sorry, we have 2 different types of accessories. We have the non-textile accessories and elastic bands, and those, they are not considered. They are not considered in the percentage. But for the textile accessories, their sum must not exceed 5%. And for the textile accessories, we allow using conventional cotton. Now for the blended articles, for sure, the main article, the main product, the content of the organic cotton shall not be less than 70% of organic cotton. And for the accessories, also for the non-textile accessories and the elastic bands, they will not be considered as of the percentage. But for the textile accessories, here we have that the sum shall not exceed 15% of the total weight. So now coming to the certification process. For the certification process, For the certification process, we have 2 separate parts. We have the organic cotton certificate, which leads to the organic cotton certificate, and the other part, which is for the transaction certificates. Now here we have the certification process. We have open application. The customer will submit the application with all the supporting documents to the institute. After that, the institute, they will verify and they will evaluate the documents. And based on the data submitted, a testing plan will be developed. Now, we have an on-site visit. The on-site visit shall be done prior the certificate issuance for organic cotton certification. And for spinners and ginners, it shall be done before testing. Why is that? This is because the auditor shall pick up the samples for ginners and spinners. But for later stages in the supply chain, the customer can send us their their product for testing. Yeah. So after the results, after having the results for the on-site visit and for the testing, and they are both passing results, then the organic cotton certificate, it will be issued. Now, when the customer decides to sell their products, then they will apply for transaction certificate, and this is what we will cover in later slides. Now, coming back to the on-site visit. So as mentioned, the on-site visit, it is mandatory prior certification. And the on-site visit, it will be as follows. In the first year and the initial certification, a full on-site visit will be conducted. But in the first renewal, second renewal, a compliance on-site visit, and the third renewal, then we will have another full on-site visit. Now, in case the company, here we have a special case, in case the company is certified according to STEP or according to OEKO-TEX standard 100, and the audit was done within the 12 months, so a spot visit will be done and not a full on-site visit. And here we have another case. What happens if the customer is not producing organic cotton content? We still have to go for an on-site visit. We still have to make sure that all the requirements, they are well implemented and adapted by the company. And for sure, for the traceability calculation, we will consider a non-certified article in order to make sure that the system is well implemented in the company. Now, concerning testing, as we mentioned, we will test GMO pesticides for ginners and spinners. We have qualitative and quantitative tests for the GMO, fiber content analysis for sure, and also will be performed. Now, if the customer produces like yarns as an intermediate product, but he tends to certify his fabrics, for example, so in that case, we will be testing the yarns and we will be testing also the fabrics. So what does that mean? I will give you an example. For example, we have a facility that applies for fabric certification, but what they supply is the fibers. And within their facility, they have spinning department. So in that case, what we will test the yarns produced that they are used in the production for the fabrics. I hope so that this is clear. Yeah, now the samples, so the samples for ginners, as mentioned before, for ginners and spinners, they will be picked up by the auditor using a sample kit. And this is actually to avoid contamination. But in case we have a failure and the auditor was not available to pick up the new sample, the improved sample, so in that case, the customer is allowed to send us the sample, but using our kit and under the institute supervision. Now, for yarn samples, we are requesting it without treatment. And for raw material that belong to an older transaction certificate, which is more than like 1 year, spot checks might be done for the raw material also in that case. And we might test the changes that took place in this period. Now, for subsequent suspension, expiry, or withdrawal, or non-renewal of the supplier certificate, this will not affect the materials that were purchased by the customer within the validity period. Now, coming to the commissioners. For the commissioners, for commissioner process, no organic cotton or transaction certificate is mandatory. An on-site visit it is mandatory for the commissioner, but if they are certified according to standard 100, then this is not mandatory anymore. And for wet and chemical processes, they shall be certified according to standard 100. Yes, and the commissioner must follow the organization specifications, ensure full traceability, prevent mixing or substitution, or avoid adding material. So those are the requirements that they shall be and they will be checked during the on-site visit for the commissioner. Now here we are going to the second part, which is the transaction certificate. So the transaction certificate, it is issued by the institute. It ensures or it controls the flow of the cotton products, of the organic cotton products through the supply chain, and also it also allow full traceability. Now here we have the focus on traceability verification. So here we have our the farm which is not our OEKO-TEX organic cotton entry point. This is here, it shall be certified as mentioned previously according to IFOAM family of standards. Then our entry point, it could be the geners, and we go forward. Those stages will be certified according to OEKO-TEX and shall be certified according to OEKO-TEX organic cotton. Now the flow of the products from one stage to the other stage shall be controlled by a transaction certificate. Now the OEKO-TEX organic cotton transaction certificate, as mentioned, it must start with a ginner or spinner or trader. So our entry point, it could be a ginner, or it could be the spinner, or it could be the trader. And why I said now the spinner, and this is because we have at some cases where the farmer and the ginners, they are within the same company and they are both certified with an IFOAM. So in that case, it would be acceptable. And then our entry point, it would be the spinner. Now the transaction certificate, it's issued per transaction and per delivery with each change of ownership. So that transaction certificate will be issued, and the seller that ships goods to its customer must apply to the transaction certificate with the certifying institute, with his certifying institutes. Now concerning the method. Now we are having currently two methods, but from 1 October, one method that will be discarded. So, but I will mention both and I will explain both for you. So the transaction certificate, the first method, we can say that the traditional method, which is where the customer, they first of all, we send the customer the form. They will upload all the data information, the information that they have, and they will fill it out. They will submit it with the supporting documents, and after that, the institute, they will evaluate and they will verify this the documents and the form and all the data, and then they will approve the transaction certificate and they will issue it. And usually the transaction certificate shall be applied by the customer, like with no longer than 6 weeks after the shipment. So, and in case the customer applied for the transaction certificate after than 6 weeks, so they have to submit a declaration stating the reason, and also for the commitment, having a commitment to improve their system to avoid having this issue later. And in that case, we will submit this declaration to OEKO-TEX Association, and they have to approve it in order to go forward and to issue the certificate. So in that case, do not, please make sure that you do not be late with the transaction certificate application. And the transaction certificate, usually it takes 2 years, 2 weeks from the institute to be verified and to be approved. And and then when the products, they are sent back to the seller, so also this is controlled by transaction certificate. Now here we come to the second method, and this method, it will be mandatory from the 1st of October. We have issuing transaction certificates through Textile Genesis platform. Textile Genesis, it is a widely known digital platform which is designed to trace sustainable supply chains, and also it creates an end-to-end transparency for garments and textiles. So as mentioned, this will be mandatory from the 1st of October, and the previous method that I was explaining, it will be discarded. But however, the rules still apply, which are that applying within 6 weeks, and also change of ownership, then we have to apply for transaction certificate. So just only the method. So here it is, the process flow of applying for transaction certificates using Textile Genesis platform. We have the company. The company shall create their account at the Textile Genesis platform. They have to add their OEKO-TEX certificate, create their site, and please make sure to attach your certificate to the site created so that the institute got notified to approve their certificates on the platform. Other than that, you cannot move forward. So after now your account is approved by the institute, you will receive the raw material, the transaction from your supplier through this platform also, and you will create, the customer will create their product to be sold to their clients, and they will apply for the transaction certificate. Then after that, the institutes, they will have a notification in order to approve the transaction certificate. For sure, you still have to upload the supporting documents like the invoices, delivery slips, production sheets if required, POs. Yeah, so you still have to upload your supporting documents, and those will be also evaluated and checked by the institutes. Now we have the collective transaction certificates. A collective transaction certificate is a transaction certificate regarding a collection of shipments. The collective transaction certificate can recollect shipments from one seller only to one buyer. So we cannot have one seller to several buyers. This is not allowed. One buyer, sorry, one seller. And also we can issue it like one seller, one buyer, but different addresses. So it's also allowed. And also it applies for the same rule, the shipment cannot be older than 6 weeks. And yes, thank you very much. This is everything. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Luna. I have just